Hey guys, I am here in the middle of the Oasis of the Sea, and this is Central Park. As you guys can see, they got a park in the middle of the boat. How cool is that? Which leads me to what I want to talk about building a dream and a vision for your life and how to do that properly. I've been in this business for 7 years. I've been free for 3.5. And it's because you got to build a vision or a dream. And it's a simple concept. And these concepts will help you so that when you think about anything in life, I want to be a professional swimmer. I want to be a great golfer. I want to be a great dad. You need to know these steps on how to do it. We go to school to learn engineering. We go to school to learn how to be a nurse. How to be a doctor. Why is it that nobody has ever gone out and taught you how to be successful? And people laugh when I talk about this. And I want you to know, in order to be successful in life, you need to learn where it starts. And success starts right here, in the middle of your brain. And how do you get things to get into your brain? I call it input. And it's all the input around you. All the media, all the books you read, all the videos you watch, the teachers that you choose in your life, and that's the input. When you start learning the concept of how powerful input can determine your destiny, after this video, I always say after this video, poverty is self-imposed, because you now know how to become a successful person in life. You just have to learn where it starts. So it all starts with input. It all starts with what you put in your brain. And when I talk about input, that's your thoughts. Because the input generates these thoughts. And your thoughts generate your words that you speak. And the words you speak generate action. And when you get this action habit and you start doing actions all around you create results, which are a form of input. And that input starts to cycle over and over again. And that action that you do over and over again creates that habit. Now, when you start creating a habit, habits are hard to change. So you need to learn that you want to control your input so you get good habits. But if you continue something over and over and over again, a habit becomes part of your character, who you are, what are you about. That becomes part of your life. And then that character ultimately will determine your destiny and your legacy. So let me give you an example in the real world. And I can tell you this works on the negative side and it works on the positive side. On the negative side, let's talk about people who create a habit of smoking and they can't quit, and they've been smoking for 20 years. Well, let's look at that. It wasn't like they were born and their mom, as soon as they came out, stuffed a cigarette in their mouth and said, hey, get a cigarette in there because we want them to smoke. Nope, they grew up. Somebody around them, they looked at their uncle, their friends, and they saw somebody smoking. The input. Oh, wow, that looks kind of interesting. They didn't think it was cool. They just thought it was interesting. And then they started to think about it. They get around it. They started associating with people who smoked. And they started seeing it. And sooner or later, somebody said, hey, you should try out smoking. Hey, you want to take a hit? And it wasn't like it happened instantly. It was because they were around it. So they said, no problem, I'll try it. So what happened? They started to talk about it with other people, asking questions about smoking, and finally, those words turned into action. So the input, the thoughts about it, the words it created, and the action of actually putting that cigarette to their mouth and doing it over and over again, they felt good. I don't know why you'd feel good smoking, but you get a little high or a little buzz. Well, the nicotine creates this addiction, which creates a habit, right? And you start smoking, and then sooner or later it becomes who you are. Everywhere you're at, people see you smoking. And then when you do it over and over again, it becomes part of your character, and it determines your destiny. Lung disease, and you could die from cancer, and it creates your legacy. You are somebody who died from cancer. So I believe that it works on the positive side. When you look at your work habit and the input you can put in your brain, let's talk about when you look at all these couples walking around here, and you talk about how that happens. Well, it wasn't like when you were born, oh, I found my soulmate and I'm gonna marry this girl. Nope. It all started with input. You see great couples walking around. You see people that love each other. And then what? You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then you start talking about it. People get you input. You start reading books about it, watching shows about it, watching The Notebook. And then it gives you this feeling like, oh, I want to go know more about it. You start talking to people about, what is it like to be married, or what is it like, and you start talking about it with your friends, and all of a sudden your friends start talking to you, and it creates action. And it's not a good action. I hope it's a respectable action, but action habits. You start to go out with this girl, and you start to go on dates, and it creates action, it creates results, and you get a great feeling from it. And what happens? Over time, you start dating this girl, you start seeing it over and over and over again, and you fall in love with her, and it becomes a habit. And that habit of being with her forever ends up becoming part of you. You guys end up getting married, having children, and it ends up creating your destiny. And that's a wonderful way to look at, how did that all happen? It all started with a thought. It all started with the words you spoke. It all started with the actions that you created. And then it turns into habits, which ends up turning to be part of your destiny. So I think if you know, that's a game changer in your life. That is a game changer in your life. There's no reason why you shouldn't be successful in this world. Whether you partner with me or not with Beachbody, I believe it's the best blueprint for success, physically, financially, and it also creates your lifestyle. I think it is the best. But if you choose to be a professional golfer, it all starts with your thoughts. So you better start reading books, looking at people, talking to people, get a coach, start creating a habit, going to the golf course every single day. After you start developing that habit, get some great handicaps over and over and over again. And if you want to become a successful golfer, that's what Tiger Woods did. That's what Rory McIlroy did. That's what Ricky Fowler did. So I believe if you want to be anything, if you want to be the top engineer at your company, same exact thing. You just have to develop this system of adding in value to people's lives. So I will talk to you guys soon. I hope that helps. Bye-bye.